Welcome back. Well, USDA did have a big acreage and grain stocks report this week. Matt, over 95 million acres of corn that USDA thinks, based on their survey estimates, that USDA thinks corn farmers will plant this year. Yet the market really didn't seem surprised by that
Yeah, I mean,
news.
there's no doubt the trade was expecting a 95 million acre type number. I know the average trade guess was a 500,000 below that, but overall, you look at this report and you see not only the acreage situation. Whenever you start to plug that in with a 154, that I think most traders kind of feel like we're below that at this point due to these massive exports, sales and shipments.
Mhm.
To me, you couple that with quarterly stocks. Quarterly stocks came in dead on the money, which was, I don't know that I've ever seen that, to be perfectly honest with you, as far as the average trade guess was concerned. But it definitely implies that usage is every bit as good as what we thought it was, if not a little better. And so with that being the case, I think moving forward, the trade is very well understanding that you have to not only have big acres, you're going to have a decent yield this year as well. And I think having a really strong yield is going to be tough, considering we're going to pull a lot of corn on corn acres in this year. Those fringe states, when you looked at the maps, a lot of those folks planted more corn this year as a percentage. And so, it might be really tough to get to that big yield type number. And that could put this balance sheet to where you're not going to build it near as much as you'd think with 95 million.
Yeah, John, that's actually what I was going to ask you, because when you see where these acreage shifts are happening to corn, it's in a lot of these areas that are typically cotton areas, and you look at how bad cotton prices are. So do you think, considering that the fringe acres is where we could see the additional corn acres, do you think it could be hard to hit that trend line yield this year?
Well, and Mother Nature really hasn't had an opportunity to weigh in on this yet either. But Matt's exactly right. When you're bringing corn on corn in from fringe states, it's going to be real hard to hit that trend yield number that USDA is starting out with. Matter of fact, I think I did the math. We haven't hit a trend yield number in several years now in a row. So while we've got big acres, we don't know yet if we're going to have a big crop. I still hear some folks concerned about any potential drought conditions that may emerge yet this year. So Mother Nature's the ultimate business partner here, and still got a lot to say.
Yeah, and you look at these widespread rains that are hitting some south and some of these areas, there's concern about replant this year. Okay, Matt, will U.S. farmers try to plant every acre no matter what this year, considering USDA has said, listen, if there is pain and fallout from these tariffs, we will do whatever we can to make you whole. So if we do have an MFP payment coming, do you think that actually incentivizes farmers to plant every acre they can?
I think coming in, looking at this acreage report, you're pushing 180 total, which I thought was interesting. Of course, some of those acres are coming from cotton, and it's no coincidence. I mean, cotton in the mid 60s is just a tough road to hoe for these folks. And so, are they going to go ahead and plant everything that they indicated on March 1st? I believe that would be the case. I mean, is it going to be due to chasing some sort of an MFP payment? I mean, that's a pretty tough call. But at the same time, I think that, if you're a grower and you've got a decent insurance guarantee on corn, I'm not going to say it's great, but 470 is certainly better than what it was a year ago. It's part of the reason the acreage came in where it did, because beans was $1 lower than a year ago. In those cases, I think that you're still going to try to plant corn. There's no guarantee we're going to see any sort of assistance, if you will. But by all means, if prices continue to do what they're doing, or worse yet, go lower, you've got to think that they're going to step in, because clearly if they go lower from here, you would have to say that this tariff situation's got something to do with it.
John, real quick, the team at Terrain did in-depth analysis on the big shrink, looking at a shrinking global population, not a growing one. Is focusing on building domestic demand, is that the right strategy longer term?
I mean, it certainly is a strategy. I mean, you've got to build domestic demand. You've got to improve the quality of the products that we have here in the United States. The beef industry is a perfect example. The quality of our beef has improved dramatically. Farmers have invested in the genetics to have a high quality and consistent steak around the country. So I think we're moving away from produce as much as we can to produce high quality products that the consumers are asking for. And then again, building that domestic demand. Those are some of the big conclusions out of the big shrink so far.
All right, John Newton, Matt Bennett, thank you so much for joining us. We need to take a quick break, and then we'll check in with Machinery Pete for tractor tapes.